Chosen ones, God is sending you a warning right now, a divine signal to pause before you make a massive mistake. This isn't just a feeling in your gut. It's a message from the Creator himself, whispering through the fabric of your soul, urging you to stop and listen. Something you're about to do, a step you're planning to take, could shift your path away from the destiny he's crafted for you. But here's the truth. You're not here by chance. You're watching this because God is pulling you back from the edge, guiding you toward a life of purpose, protection, and supernatural clarity. Stay with me, because this message is for you, and it's about to change everything. Your heart might be racing, ready to leap into a decision. Maybe it's a job, a relationship, a move, or a choice that feels right in the moment. But God sees what you cannot. He sees the hidden traps, the unseen consequences, the shadows waiting to derail your journey. You're not just anyone. You're his chosen one, marked for greatness, set apart for a purpose that the world can't comprehend. That's why he's stepping in now, raising a divine hand to say, "Not yet, not that way." His voice isn't loud or forceful. It's a quiet nudge, a holy pause, asking you to trust his timing over your own. Think about Moses, standing at the edge of the Red Sea, pursued by an army with nowhere to go. The people panicked, but God told him to stand still. And in that stillness, the sea parted. Your moment of pause could be the key to your miracle. Right now, I need you to do something powerful. Comment 777 below to declare you're open to God's guidance, aligning your spirit with his divine plan. That number carries the energy of heaven's wisdom, a signal to the universe that you're ready to listen. Don't skip this. It's a step of faith that amplifies his message in your life. God's warning isn't about fear. It's about protection. He's not trying to stop your dreams, he's guarding them. Every chosen one faces moments where the path seems clear, but the enemy has laid a snare. Maybe it's a relationship that sparkles with promise, but hides a cost to your peace. Maybe it's a financial move that looks lucrative, but leads to chains of stress. God sees the fine print you can't, the consequences that haven't yet unfolded. Like Joseph, betrayed by his brothers and sold into slavery, what looked like a dead end was God's redirection to a throne. Your hesitation now, your willingness to wait for his signal, could be the pivot that leads you to a palace of purpose. You're not ordinary. The world might see you as just another person making choices, but God sees you as his masterpiece, sculpted for a divine mission. That's why he's intervening. He's not here to control you, but to guide you, like a shepherd steering a lamb away from a cliff. Picture David, a young shepherd boy, facing Goliath. The world told him to armor up, to follow their logic, but God whispered a different plan: a sling, a stone, and unshakable faith. That seemingly small choice, defying human wisdom, brought a giant to his knees. What if your next step is the giant God wants you to slay by trusting him instead of the world's advice? Comment 777 again below to anchor this truth in your spirit. Let the heavens know you're ready to follow God's lead, not the world's noise. This is your moment to align with his perfect will. The mistake you're about to make isn't just a misstep. It's a detour from your divine calling. God isn't saying no to your desires. He's saying there's a better way. His plan is bigger, brighter, more extraordinary than anything you've imagined. Think of Abraham, called to leave his homeland for a place he didn't know. The world called it reckless, but God called it faith. Every step Abraham took in obedience opened doors to a legacy that still shapes nations. Your obedience now, your willingness to pause and listen, is laying the foundation for a legacy that will outlive you. God's voice is clear, but it requires a heart tuned to hear it. The world screams at you to act fast, to seize the moment, to follow your instincts. But as a chosen one, your instincts are guided by something greater, His Spirit. Slow down, breathe, ask yourself, is this step aligned with the peace that surpasses understanding? Does it carry the weight of God's approval? When Peter stepped out of the boat to walk on water, he didn't just leap, he waited for Jesus' call. That single moment of obedience let him walk where no one else could. Your pause could be the moment you walk on waves. Your life isn't a series of random choices, it's a divine tapestry woven by God's hand. Every decision you make either adds to its beauty or pulls at its threads. Right now, God is holding the needle, guiding you to stitch something eternal. Maybe you're tempted to say yes to something that feels urgent, a job offer, a partnership, a move that promises security. But urgency is often the enemy's disguise. God's timing is never rushed. It's perfect. Like Esther, who waited for the exact moment to approach the king, your patience could save not just you, but everyone connected to your purpose. Comment 777 one more time below to seal your commitment to God's timing. Let this act of faith be a declaration that you trust His plan over your own. The world teaches you to chase what glitters, but God teaches you to seek what lasts. That relationship, that deal, that next step, it might shine now, but if it's not from Him, it will fade. God's warning is a gift, a divine compass redirecting you to a path that sparkles with eternal value. Think of Jonah, running from God's call to Nineveh. His choice led to a storm, a whale, and a lesson in obedience. But when he finally aligned with God's plan, an entire city was saved. Your obedience now could save not just you, but generations. God's not asking you to abandon your dreams. He's asking you to trust His vision. Your heart might be set on a goal, but His perspective sees beyond the horizon. Like Noah building an ark in a desert, what seems foolish to the world is wisdom in God's eyes. People laughed at Noah, but when the rains came, his obedience became their salvation. Your pause, your willingness to wait for God's green light, could be the ark that carries you through life's storms. You're standing at a crossroads, chosen one. One path feels safe, logical, immediate. The other feels uncertain, but it hums with divine possibility. God's warning is your invitation to choose the path that leads to His promises. Like Ruth, who left everything familiar to follow Naomi, your trust in God's guidance could lead you to a field of favor you never imagined. Ruth didn't see Boaz coming, but God did. Your next step might not reveal the full picture, but it will reveal the one who painted it. If this message is speaking to your soul, hit that like button and subscribe to join thousands of chosen one souls walking this divine path together. Your support amplifies this message, reaching others who need to hear God's voice. Sometimes God's warning feels like a wall, but it's really a bridge. That job you're about to take, that relationship you're ready to dive into, that decision you're convinced is right, God might be saying, wait, I have something better. His pause isn't a punishment, it's a preparation. Think of Lazarus, dead in the tomb for 4 days. The world thought it was over, but Jesus was waiting for the perfect moment to show His glory. Your delay might be God's setup for a miracle that shakes the world. The enemy wants you to rush, to act without clarity, to step into a trap disguised as opportunity. But you're not like everyone else. You're a chosen one, with a spirit sensitive to God's whisper. That unease you feel, that hesitation in your heart, it's not weakness, it's divine discernment. Like Daniel in the lion's den, your trust in God's guidance turns danger into deliverance. The lions didn't touch Daniel because God's hand was on him. Your obedience now places God's hand over your next step. Every mistake you've avoided in the past, every time you listened to that still small voice, has brought you to this moment. God's track record in your life is flawless. Remember the doors He opened when you thought they were locked, the peace He gave when chaos surrounded you. That's the same God speaking to you now, urging you to pause, to seek His face, to wait for His signal. Like Elijah, who heard God not in the wind or the earthquake, but in a gentle whisper, your clarity comes when you quiet your soul before Him. God's warning is a love letter, chosen one. He's not here to limit you, He's here to launch you. That step you're about to take might feel like progress, but if it's not His path, it's a detour. Picture Sarah, who laughed at God's promise of a child in her old age. Her doubt led to a mistake, Ishmael, but God's grace brought Isaac, the child of promise. Your pause now could birth the promise God has written over your life, not the mistake you almost made. You're not alone in this. Thousands of chosen ones are hearing this message, feeling this same divine nudge. Comment 777 below to join them, to declare you're choosing God's path over the world's. This is your moment to stand firm in faith, to let heaven know you're listening. The world measures success by speed, but God measures it by alignment. The faster you move without His guidance, the further you drift from your purpose. Slowing down isn't failure, it's faith. Like the Israelites at the Jordan River, you're standing at the edge of a promise. They had to wait for the waters to part, but when they stepped in faith, the impossible became their path. Your waiting is building a path to the impossible. God's warning is your shield, protecting you from choices that look good but lead to loss. Maybe it's a partnership that promises wealth but compromises your values. Maybe it's a move that feels exciting but pulls you from your calling. God sees the end from the beginning. Like Hezekiah, who prayed when death knocked, your trust in God's warning can turn a dead end into a divine extension. Hezekiah got 15 more years. Your obedience could add decades to your destiny. You're not just avoiding a mistake, you're stepping into a miracle. God's pause is His promise that something greater is coming. Think of Mary, who pondered the angel's message in her heart. She didn't rush to understand. She trusted God's plan. That trust birthed the Savior. Your trust now could birth a breakthrough that changes everything. Don't move until you feel His peace. Don't step until you see His light. You're too important to His plan to settle for less. The enemy wants you to believe that waiting is weakness, that pausing means missing out. But God says your strength lies in stillness. Isaiah 40-31 promises that those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength, soaring like eagles. Your pause is powering you up for a flight the world can't imagine. Like Paul and Silas, singing in prison, your faith in God's timing can shake the chains off your future. If this message is igniting your spirit, hit that like button and subscribe to join thousands of chosen one souls standing in God's truth. Your support sends this message further, touching lives that need this divine warning. God's not just stopping you, He's positioning you. Every time you heed His voice, you align with a destiny that outshines your plans. Think of the woman at the well, ready to settle for a life of shame until Jesus spoke truth to her heart. One conversation, one divine interruption, turned her into an evangelist. Your pause could turn you into a vessel for God's glory, carrying His message to a world in need. The mistake you're tempted to make isn't the end of your story. It's the start of God's redirection. He's not saying no forever. He's saying, not this, not now. Like Jacob wrestling with the angel, your struggle to let go of your plans is building a new name for you, Israel, one who prevails with God. Your obedience now is renaming your future, marking you as a victor, not a victim. Every chosen one faces a moment where the world's logic clashes with God's wisdom. The world says move fast, take control, secure your future. But God says trust me, wait for my signal, let me secure your destiny. Like Joshua at Jericho, you might feel foolish walking in circles, waiting for God's command. But when the walls fell, Joshua's obedience became a testimony. Your waiting will become your testimony, a story of God's faithfulness that inspires others. God's warning is your wake-up call, chosen one. He's not here to scare you, but to steer you. That step you're about to take might feel like the answer, but if it's not his answer, it's a distraction. Picture Peter denying Jesus 3 times, thinking he was protecting himself. But Jesus' warning prepared Peter for redemption, turning a failure into a foundation for the church. Your pause now could turn a potential failure into the foundation of your calling. You're not just avoiding a mistake, you're embracing a miracle. God's warning is his way of saying, I see you, I love you, I'm guiding you. Like the prodigal son who thought he knew better but found grace in his return, your willingness to listen brings you home to God's best. Every step you take in obedience is a step toward a life that overflows with his favor, his peace, and his purpose. The world might call you cautious, but God calls you wise. Waiting on him isn't passivity, it's power. Like Hannah, who prayed through years of barrenness, your patience is birthing something eternal. Hannah's wait brought Samuel, a prophet who changed a nation. Your wait could bring a breakthrough that changes generations. Trust God's timing. Trust his voice. Trust his love. God's warning isn't a stop sign. It's a detour to destiny. That choice you're facing, that step you're ready to take, pause and seek his face. Like Gideon, who doubted his strength but trusted God's call, your obedience could turn a small decision into a mighty victory. Gideon's 300 defeated an army because he listened. Your listening now could defeat the giant standing in your way. You're a chosen one, marked by God for a purpose that outshines the world's plans. His warning is your protection, your guide, your promise of something greater. Like Mary Magdalene, who stayed at the tomb when others left, your faithfulness in this moment could lead you to see the risen Christ, his power, his glory, his plan for your life. Stay faithful, stay still, stay ready. The mistake you're tempted to make is no match for the God who's guiding you. He's not just stopping you, he's setting you up for a breakthrough. Think of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who faced a furnace but found God's presence in the flames. Your pause now could lead you through the fire to a testimony that silences doubters. God's with you, chosen one. He's always been. Every time you choose God's path over the world's, you step closer to the life he's promised. Like the disciples waiting in the upper room, your obedience unlocks the Holy Spirit's power. They waited, and Pentecost came. Your waiting could unleash a Pentecost in your life, power, purpose, and provision beyond your dreams. Don't rush, don't settle, don't step without his peace. God's warning is your lifeline, pulling you back from a mistake that could dim your light. You're not here to stumble, you're here to shine. Like John the Baptist, preparing the way in the wilderness, your obedience prepares the way for God's glory in your life. Every pause, every prayer, every moment you trust him is clearing the path for his promises to unfold. You're not alone in this journey. Thousands of chosen ones are standing with you, hearing this same divine call to pause and trust. Comment 777 one last time below to declare you're choosing God's wisdom over the world's rush. Let heaven see your faith, and let the earth feel your light. God's not just warning you, He's wooing you. He's calling you closer, deeper, higher. That step you're about to take might feel safe, but if it's not His, it's settling. Like the Samaritan woman who thought her life was set until Jesus offered living water, your pause could lead to a wellspring of eternal purpose. Don't settle for a sip when God's offering an ocean. The world pushes you to act, but God pulls you to align. Every time you choose His voice over the noise, you step into a destiny that can't be shaken. Like Nehemiah rebuilding Jerusalem's walls, your obedience rebuilds what the enemy tried to destroy. Every brick you lay in faith strengthens your future. Trust God's warning, trust His plan, trust His heart. You're a chosen one, and God's warning is your invitation to greatness. That mistake you're tempted to make isn't your story's end, it's the beginning of His redirection. Like Jonah, who ran but was restored, your obedience now could turn a wrong turn into a divine turnaround. God's not done with you. He's just getting started. God's warning is a divine spotlight, shining on the path you're meant to walk. You might be standing at the edge of a decision, feeling the weight of what's next. Maybe it's a career shift, a new venture, or a relationship that promises change. But God's voice is cutting through the noise, urging you to hold back, to see what's hidden. Like Elisha, who saw the unseen armies of God, protecting him when others saw only danger. Your pause lets you see the divine protection surrounding you. Your next step isn't just a choice, it's a chance to align with heaven's strategy. The world tells you to trust your eyes, but God tells you to trust His heart. That opportunity in front of you might look like a door to success, but if it's not His door, it's a trap. Picture Rahab hiding the spies in Jericho. The world saw her as a nobody, but God saw her faith. Her choice to trust God's plan over the city's logic saved her family and wrote her into His story. Your hesitation now, your choice to wait for His signal, could write you into a story that echoes through eternity. Every chosen one carries a divine sensitivity, a radar for God's truth. That unease you feel, that knot in your stomach, it's not doubt, it's discernment. God's warning is like a lighthouse, guiding you away from rocks you can't yet see. Think of Deborah, the prophetess, who spoke God's truth when Barak hesitated. Her clarity turned a battle into a victory. Your clarity now, your willingness to listen, could turn a potential mistake into a triumph that glorifies God. The enemy loves to dress up distractions as destinies. That next step might feel like the answer to your prayers, but if it pulls you from God's peace, it's a counterfeit. God's warning is His way of pulling you back to the real thing. Like Samuel, who heard God's voice in the night when others slept, your ability to hear Him now sets you apart. Samuel's obedience made him a prophet. Your obedience could make you a vessel for miracles the world can't explain. You're not just making choices, you're building a legacy. Every step you take either strengthens or weakens the foundation God's laid for you. That decision you're facing might seem small, but its ripples could shape your future. Like Joseph, who refused Potiphar's wife, your choice to honor God over temptation could lead to a position you never imagined. Joseph's no saved him from a prison of compromise and placed him in a palace of purpose. Your no now could be the key to your palace. God's warning isn't about holding you back. It's about propelling you forward. The world sees delay as defeat, but God sees it as preparation. Think of Elizabeth, barren for years, yet chosen to birth John the Baptist. Her waiting wasn't punishment, it was positioning. Your waiting now is positioning you for a purpose that will shake the earth. Don't rush past God's timing. His plans are worth the wait. The mistake you're tempted to make might promise quick results, but God's path promises eternal rewards. Like the wise virgins in Jesus' parable, who prepared their lamps and waited for the bridegroom, your readiness now ensures you won't miss his arrival. The foolish rushed and ran out of oil. The wise waited and entered the feast. Your patience could be the oil that lights your way into God's promises. God's voice is your compass, chosen one. The world might point you one way, but his whisper points to truth. That step you're considering might align with logic, but does it align with his peace? Like Philip, who left a thriving ministry to meet an Ethiopian in the desert, your obedience to God's nudge could lead to a divine appointment that changes everything. Philip didn't question. He went. Your going, or your waiting, could spark a revival. The enemy wants you to believe that action equals progress, but God says alignment equals power. That choice you're wrestling with, does it carry his presence? Like Moses, who refused to move without God's glory, your refusal to step without his guidance ensures you won't walk alone. Moses' obedience brought a nation to the promised land. Your obedience could bring you to a promise that transforms your life. God's warning is your anchor in a world of shifting sands. That decision might feel urgent, but urgency is often a lie. Like David, who waited years after being anointed before becoming king, your patience proves your trust in God's plan. David's waiting sharpened his faith. Your waiting now sharpens your destiny. Don't let the world's rush push you into a step God hasn't approved. You're a chosen one, crafted for a purpose that outshines fleeting opportunities. God's warning is his love in action, steering you away from what's good to what's divine. Like Rebecca, who left her family for a husband she'd never met, your trust in God's call could lead to a covenant that blesses nations. Rebecca's step was bold, but it was God's voice that made it sure. Your pause makes your next step sure. The world measures progress by movement, but God measures it by obedience. That choice you're facing might seem like the next logical step, but God's logic is higher. Think of Naaman, told to dip in the Jordan 7 times. It seemed foolish, but his obedience healed him. Your obedience now, even if it feels small, could heal what's broken in your life and lead you to wholeness. God's warning is a divine interruption, not a denial. He's not saying no to your dreams. He's saying yes to his best. Like the disciples who left their nets to follow Jesus, your willingness to let go of your plans could lead to a catch that overflows. Their obedience fed thousands. Your obedience could feed a purpose that touches countless lives. Trust his interruption. It's leading you to abundance. You're not just avoiding a mistake, you're embracing a miracle. God's warning is his way of clearing the path for his glory. Like Gideon's army, reduced to 300 to show God's power, your pause reduces the noise so his voice can shine. Gideon's small step in faith defeated an army. Your small step in obedience could defeat the obstacles blocking your destiny. The enemy wants you to see God's warning as a restriction, but it's really a revelation. He's showing you what's at stake: your purpose, your peace, your legacy. Like Esther, who fasted before risking her life, your pause prepares you for a moment that changes history. Esther's obedience saved a nation. Your obedience could save your future from a choice that dims your light. God's not just guiding you, He's guarding you. That step you're tempted to take might seem like freedom, but if it's not His, it's a cage. Like Daniel, who prayed despite the king's decree, your trust in God's warning could turn a den of lions into a stage for His glory. Daniel's faith silenced beasts. Your faith now could silence the doubts that push you toward a mistake. You're a chosen one, and God's warning is your invitation to walk in wisdom. The world might call you to act, but God calls you to align. Like Mary, who sat at Jesus' feet while Martha rushed, your choice to listen now could lead to a truth that transforms you. Mary's stillness gained her the better part. Your stillness could gain you a destiny that lasts forever. The mistake you're facing isn't the end. It's a turning point. God's warning is His hand on your shoulder, guiding you to a path that sparkles with His promises. Like Joshua, who trusted God's plan to conquer Jericho, your obedience could bring down walls you didn't even know existed. Joshua's faith turned a city to rubble. Your faith could turn a mistake into a miracle. God's warning is your shield, chosen one. It's not about fear, it's about favor. That choice you're wrestling with might promise quick rewards, but God's path promises eternal riches. Like Ruth, who gleaned in Boaz's field, your trust in God's guidance could lead you to a harvest you never expected. Ruth's faithfulness made her a matriarch. Your faithfulness now could make you a cornerstone of God's plan. The world pushes you to decide, but God pulls you to discern. Every step you take in His timing strengthens your purpose. Like Nehemiah, who rebuilt Jerusalem's walls despite opposition, your obedience rebuilds what the enemy tried to break. Nehemiah's faith restored a city. Your faith could restore a future that shines with God's glory. Don't rush. Trust His voice. You're too close to His promises to settle for less. God's warning is a divine whisper, cutting through the chaos of your choices. You might be standing at a fork in the road, one path glowing with promise, the other shrouded in uncertainty. That job offer, that new relationship, that big move, it feels like the answer you've been waiting for. But God's voice is tugging at your spirit, saying, "Hold on, my child, this isn't the way." Like Jeremiah, called to speak truth to a rebellious nation, your pause now could be the moment you speak life into your own future. His warning isn't a barrier, it's a beacon, guiding you to a destiny that outshines the world's plans. The enemy thrives on your haste, pushing you to act before you see clearly. But God's warning is your invitation to see with His eyes. That step you're about to take might seem like progress, but if it's not His path, it's a shadow of the real thing. Think of Abigail, who acted with wisdom to stop David from a rash decision. Her courage saved lives and secured her place in God's story. Your courage to pause, to seek His face, could save you from a choice that dims your purpose. You're a chosen one, wired to hear God's voice above the world's noise. That hesitation you feel isn't fear, it's divine intuition. God's warning is like a compass, pointing you away from danger and toward His promises. Like Noah, who built an ark while others mocked, your obedience now could be the vessel that carries you through life's floods. Noah's faith saved his family. Your faith could save your future from a mistake that steals your peace. The world tells you to seize the moment, but God tells you to seek His heart. That decision you're facing might look like a golden opportunity, but if it lacks His peace, it's a mirage. Picture Lazarus's sisters, Mary and Martha. Grieving at His tomb, they thought Jesus was too late, but His delay was divine timing. Your pause now could be God's way of setting up a resurrection in your life, turning what seems dead into a miracle. God's warning is your guardrail. keeping you on the path of purpose. You might be tempted to say yes to something that feels right, but feelings can deceive. Like Samuel, who mistook Eliab for God's chosen king, you might be drawn to what looks good on the surface. But God corrected Samuel, pointing to David's heart. Your willingness to listen now could point you to a heart-aligned path that leads to greatness. The enemy wants you to believe that waiting is wasting time, but God says waiting is building strength. That choice you're wrestling with might promise quick wins, but God's plan promises lasting victory. Think of Simeon, who waited years for the Messiah's arrival. His patience led him to hold Jesus in his arms. Your patience now could lead you to hold a promise that changes everything. Don't settle for the immediate when God's offering the eternal. You're not just making decisions, you're shaping a divine legacy. Every choice you make either aligns with God's design or pulls you away. Like Ruth, who chose to stay with Naomi despite an uncertain future, your decision to trust God's warning could lead to a legacy of favor. Ruth's faithfulness brought her to Boaz. Your faithfulness now could bring you to a blessing you can't yet see. God's warning is a divine reset, recalibrating your steps to match His rhythm. The world might push you to act fast, but God calls you to walk steady. Like Moses, who spent 40 years in the desert before leading Israel, your pause is preparation for a purpose bigger than you. Moses' waiting shaped him into a deliverer. Your waiting could shape you into a vessel for God's glory. The mistake you're tempted to make isn't just a misstep. It's a test of your faith. God's warning is His way of saying, I've got you, but you need to trust me. Like Peter, who stepped onto the water but sank when he looked at the waves, your focus determines your path. Keep your eyes on Jesus, not the storm of urgency around you. Your trust now could keep you walking where others sink. God's voice is your lifeline, chosen one. That step you're considering might feel like the next big thing, but if it's not His, it's a distraction. Like Esther, who waited for God's timing to approach the king, your patience could unlock a moment that saves more than just you. Esther's obedience shifted a nation's fate. Your obedience could shift your destiny toward God's best. The world measures success by what you gain, but God measures it by what you become. That choice you're facing might offer rewards, but if it costs your peace, it's too expensive. Like Daniel, who refused the king's food to honor God, your choice to prioritize His will could set you apart. Daniel's faithfulness made him a leader. Your faithfulness now could make you a light in a dark world. God's warning is your invitation to trust His vision over your own. That path you're eyeing might seem straight, but if it's not His, it's crooked. Think of Jonah, who ran from God's call and ended up in a storm. His return to obedience saved Nineveh. Your return to God's guidance now could save you from a storm and lead to a purpose that saves others. You're a chosen one, marked for a mission that requires divine clarity. God's warning isn't a restriction, it's a revelation of His love. Like David, who waited for God's signal before becoming king, your pause could be the moment that crowns you with purpose. David's patience made him a man after God's heart. Your patience could make you a vessel for His power. The enemy wants you to see God's warning as a delay, but it's really a doorway. That step you're tempted to take might feel urgent, but God's timing is perfect. Like the woman who touched Jesus' cloak, your faith in His timing could heal what's broken. Her one act of trust brought wholeness. Your one act of obedience could bring a breakthrough that transforms your life. God's warning is your shield, protecting you from choices that promise much but deliver little. You might be ready to say yes to something that feels safe, but if it's not His, it's a risk. Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who faced a furnace but trusted God. Your faith now could lead you through fire to a testimony that shakes the world. Their obedience silenced a king. Yours could silence the doubts holding you back. You're not just avoiding a mistake, you're stepping into a miracle. God's warning is His hand guiding you to a path of purpose. Like Mary, who said yes to God's call despite the unknown, your trust now could birth something eternal. Mary's obedience brought the Savior. Your obedience could bring a salvation moment for your life and those around you. The world pushes you to act, but God pulls you to pray. That decision you're facing might seem like the answer, but if it's not His, it's a shadow. Like Joshua, who circled Jericho in silence before the shout. Your pause could be the strategy that brings down walls. Joshua's faith conquered a city. Your faith now could conquer the obstacles in your path. God's warning is your wake-up call, chosen one. He's not here to limit you. He's here to lift you. That step you're about to take might feel like progress, but if it's not His, it's a detour. Like Paul, who was blinded to see God's truth, your pause could open your eyes to a vision that changes everything. Paul's obedience spread the gospel. Yours could spread God's glory through your life. You're a chosen one, and God's warning is your compass in a world of confusion. The choice you're wrestling with might promise security, but God promises significance. Like Hannah, who prayed through pain for a son, your trust in His timing could birth a purpose that echoes through generations. Hannah's faith gave Israel Samuel. Your faith could give the world a light it desperately needs. The enemy wants you to rush, but God wants you to rest in His plan. That step you're considering might feel right, but if it lacks His peace, it's wrong. Like Nehemiah, who rebuilt Jerusalem's walls through prayer and patience, your obedience now could rebuild what's broken in your life. Nehemiah's faith restored a nation. Your faith could restore a future that shines with God's favor. God's warning is your lifeline, pulling you back from a choice that could dim your destiny. You're not here to stumble, you're here to soar. Like Elijah, who waited for God's whisper in the silence, your pause could be the moment you hear His voice clearly. Elijah's faith brought fire from heaven. Your faith now could bring a fire that ignites your purpose. Don't move without His peace. You're too close to His promises to settle for less. God's warning is a divine signal, flashing bright to keep you from a choice that could unravel your purpose. You might be staring at a decision that feels like the next logical step. A new job, a bold move, a relationship that sparkles with potential. But deep in your spirit, there's a check, a quiet voice saying, "Not now, my child." This isn't fear holding you back. It's God holding you close. Like Isaiah, who saw the Lord's glory before speaking His truth, your pause now could reveal a vision that aligns you with heaven's plan. His warning is your guide to a path that shines brighter than the world's offers. The enemy loves to blur your focus, tempting you with what looks good but leads astray. That step you're considering might seem like a shortcut to success, but if it's not God's, it's a sidetrack. Think of Barak, who hesitated to fight without Deborah's prophetic assurance. His trust in God's guidance turned a battle into a triumph. Your trust now, your willingness to wait for His clarity, could turn a potential misstep into a victory that echoes His glory. You're a chosen one, crafted with a heart that hears God's whisper over the world's shouts. That unease stirring in you isn't doubt, it's divine direction. God's warning is like a map, showing you the pitfalls you can't yet see. Like Nathan, who confronted David with God's truth, your obedience to his nudge could correct your course before it's too late. Nathan's boldness saved a king. Your boldness to pause could save your destiny from a costly mistake. The world pushes you to act fast, but God calls you to walk faithfully. That choice you're wrestling with might promise rewards, but if it lacks His presence, it's empty. Picture Zechariah, struck silent until John's birth, learning to trust God's timing. His silence wasn't punishment, it was preparation for a miracle. Your silence now, your choice to wait, could prepare you for a miracle that transforms your life and touches others. God's warning is your anchor, grounding you in a storm of decisions. You might be ready to leap into something that feels urgent, but urgency is often the enemy's bait. Like the apostles who waited in Jerusalem for the Holy Spirit, your patience could unleash a power that changes everything. Their waiting brought Pentecost. Your waiting could bring a breakthrough that sets your purpose ablaze. The mistake you're tempted to make isn't just a wrong turn. It's a test of your trust. God's warning is His way of saying, I see the end, trust my view. Like Hagar, who wandered in the desert but found God's provision, your pause could lead you to a well of promise. Hagar's faith sustained her son. Your faith now could sustain a future that carries God's favor. You're not just choosing paths, you're choosing promises. That decision you're facing might look like the answer, but if it's not His, it's a shadow. Like Gideon, who questioned God's call but obeyed His signs, your willingness to listen could turn doubt into deliverance. Gideon's faith defeated an army. Your faith could defeat the doubts pushing you toward a mistake. God's warning is a divine compass, pointing you to His perfect will. The world might tell you to trust your instincts, but God says trust His insight. Like Anna, who waited decades in the temple for the Messiah, your patience could lead you to a moment of divine fulfillment. Anna's devotion let her see Jesus. Your devotion now could let you see God's plan unfold in ways you never imagined. The enemy wants you to see waiting as weakness, but God sees it as worship. That step you're about to take might feel like progress, but if it's not His, it's a detour. Think of Habakkuk, who stood on the ramparts waiting for God's answer. His patience brought a vision. Your patience now could bring a vision that lights up your path. Don't rush when God's calling you to rest in His timing. You're a chosen one, marked for a mission that demands divine alignment. God's warning isn't a wall, it's a window to His purpose. Like Cornelius, whose prayers led to a divine encounter, your openness to God's guidance could lead to a meeting that changes everything. Cornelius's faith opened the gospel to the Gentiles. Your faith could open doors to a destiny that impacts generations. The world measures success by speed, but God measures it by surrender. That choice you're considering might promise quick gains, but God promises lasting glory. Like Ezra, who rebuilt the temple through faith, your obedience now could rebuild what's broken in your life. Ezra's trust restored worship. Your trust could restore a purpose that shines with God's light. God's warning is your shield, guarding you from choices that glitter but fade. You might be tempted to say yes to something that feels safe, but if it's not His, it's a trap. Like Peter, who stepped out of the boat only at Jesus' call, your obedience could keep you walking on water. Peter's faith defied gravity. Your faith now could defy the gravity of the world's expectations. You're not just avoiding a mistake, you're embracing a masterpiece. God's warning is His brushstroke, painting a future that reflects His glory. Like Rahab, who trusted God's spies over Jericho's walls, your pause could be the thread that weaves you into His story. Rahab's faith saved her family. Your faith could save your future from a choice that dims your light. The enemy wants you to chase what's immediate, but God wants you to claim what's eternal. That decision you're facing might look like the answer, but if it lacks His peace, it's a mirage. Like Elisha, who followed Elijah through every test, your commitment to God's guidance could lead to a double portion of His Spirit. Elisha's faithfulness multiplied miracles. Your faithfulness now could multiply blessings in your life. God's warning is your invitation to trust His heart over your head. The world might push you to act, but God pulls you to pray. Like Nehemiah, who prayed before rebuilding Jerusalem, your pause could be the prayer that strengthens your purpose. Nehemiah's faith restored a city. Your faith could restore a path that leads to God's promises. You're a chosen one, and God's warning is your roadmap through a world of distractions. That step you're tempted to take might feel like freedom, but if it's not His, it's a cage. Like Daniel, who faced lions but trusted God, your obedience could turn danger into deliverance. Daniel's faith silenced beasts. Your faith could silence the fears pushing you toward a mistake. The world tells you to move fast, but God tells you to move faithfully. That choice you're wrestling with might promise results, but God promises redemption. Like Ruth, who gleaned in Boaz's field, your trust in God's guidance could lead to a harvest of favor. Ruth's obedience made her a matriarch. Your obedience could make you a cornerstone of His plan. God's warning is a divine pause, giving you time to see His truth. You might be ready to leap, but His voice is calling you to look. Like Moses, who saw the burning bush and turned aside, your pause could be the moment you encounter God's presence. Moses' curiosity led to a nation's freedom. Your curiosity now could lead to a freedom that transforms your life. You're not just making decisions, you're making history. God's warning is His hand, guiding you to a legacy that lasts. Like Esther, who waited for God's timing to save her people, your patience could be the key to a breakthrough that changes everything. Esther's faith shifted a kingdom. Your faith could shift your future toward a purpose that shines. The enemy wants you to see God's warning as a delay, but it's a doorway to destiny. That step you're considering might feel right, but if it's not His, it's a detour. Like Paul, who was redirected on the road to Damascus, your obedience now could lead to a mission that changes the world. Paul's surrender spread the gospel. Your surrender could spread God's glory through your life. God's warning is a divine compass, steering you through a maze of choices that could dim your light. You might be standing on the brink of a decision, a new path, a bold leap, a commitment that feels like the key to your future. But there's a stirring in your soul, a gentle tug saying, "Wait, my child, let me show you the way." This isn't hesitation born of fear. It's God's voice calling you to align with His eternal purpose. Like Ezekiel, who saw visions of God's glory before speaking His word, your pause now could unveil a truth that sets your path ablaze with divine clarity. The enemy loves to cloud your judgment, dangling opportunities that sparkle but lead to shadows. That step you're eyeing might seem like the answer to your prayers, but if it's not God's, it's a distraction. Think of Jethro, who advised Moses to delegate and trust God's order. His wisdom saved Moses from burnout and led a nation. Your wisdom now, in heeding God's warning, could save you from a choice that drains your purpose and lead you to a life that shines. You're a chosen one, gifted with a spirit that senses God's guidance over the world's clamor. That unease you feel isn't weakness, it's divine discernment. God's warning is like a sentinel, guarding you from paths that promise much but deliver little. Like Amos, a shepherd called to prophesy, your obedience to his nudge could turn a simple moment into a powerful mission. Amos's faithfulness shook Israel. Your faithfulness now could shake the foundations of your future. The world urges you to act quickly, but God calls you to walk wisely. That decision you're wrestling with might look like a breakthrough, but if it lacks His peace, it's a trap. Picture Lydia, who opened her heart to Paul's message by the river. Her trust in God's timing made her a cornerstone of the early church. Your trust now, your choice to pause, could make you a cornerstone in God's unfolding plan. God's warning is your shield, protecting you from choices that glitter but fade. You might be tempted to jump at something that feels urgent, but urgency is often the enemy's disguise. Like Barnabas, who stood by Paul when others doubted, your patience could build a bridge to a purpose that lasts. Barnabas's faith launched a ministry. Your faith could launch a legacy that echoes through generations. The mistake you're about to make isn't just a misstep. It's a moment to choose God's truth over the world's lies. His warning is His love, guiding you to a path of promise. Like Hosea, who obeyed God's call to love despite pain, your willingness to listen could redeem what seems lost. Hosea's obedience restored a family. Your obedience now could restore a future that radiates God's glory. You're not just navigating choices, you're crafting a divine story. That step you're considering might seem like progress, but if it's not His, it's a detour. Like Timothy, who followed Paul's guidance to lead with faith, your pause could be the training ground for a calling that changes lives. Timothy's obedience built churches. Your obedience could build a life that inspires others to seek God. God's warning is a divine invitation, calling you to trust His plan over your own. The world might push you to seize control, but God says surrender to His timing. Like Mary of Bethany, who anointed Jesus despite criticism, your choice to prioritize His voice could be a fragrant offering. Mary's act was remembered forever. Your act of faith now could be remembered in heaven's story. The enemy wants you to believe that waiting is missing out, but God says waiting is winning. That choice you're facing might promise quick rewards, but God promises lasting riches. Think of Caleb, who waited 40 years for his promise but never lost faith. His patience claimed a mountain. Your patience now could claim a destiny that towers over your dreams. You're a chosen one, marked for a mission that requires divine precision. God's warning isn't a restriction, it's a redirection to His best. Like Philip, who obeyed an angel's call to meet a stranger, your pause could lead to a divine encounter that shifts everything. Philip's obedience saved a soul. Your obedience could save your future from a mistake that dims your purpose. The world measures success by what you do, but God measures it by who you trust. That decision you're tempted to make might look like the answer, but if it's not His, it's a shadow. Like Mordecai, who refused to bow to Haman, your stand for God's guidance could turn a threat